The first notice came on a Monday. Improper trash bin, violation of community waste protocol, $50. The rule stated bins must be returned behind the side fence within 12 hours of pickup. Ours was visible for 14, 2 hours. I checked the timestamp on the security camera. Trash truck 8:17 a.m. I left for work at 7:30. My wife was home with a fever. We brought it in at 10:32 p.m. Technically late, practically harmless. We paid the $50 because fighting $50 felt ridiculous. Then came another notice. Repeat violation, $100. Same bin, same rule, different week. This time the bin was visible from the street because the side latch broke during a windstorm. I emailed the HOA office explaining, no response. 3 days later, the fine doubled, $200. Escalated due to non-compliance pattern. Pattern, 2 weeks. One trash bin. At the next meeting, Karen stood at the podium with a binder thicker than necessary. Standards protect property value. Her tone was polished, measured, the kind that sounds reasonable until you look closely. I asked whether warning notices could precede escalations. She smiled. We cannot create exceptions. Consistency is key. Consistency. Except the Johnsonson's been visible for 3 days the previous month. No notice, no fine. That's when something shifted. It wasn't about the bin anymore. It was about enforcement. Because selective strictness isn't consistency, it's targeting. And Karen had just found her example. She just didn't realize we would be the wrong one. The certified letter arrived 2 weeks later. Final notice before legal action. Balance due, $450. For a trash bin, the fines had compounded weekly, late fees added, administrative processing charges applied, interest assessed, all without a single in-person discussion. I reviewed the HOA bylaws. Escalation to lien required continued willful non-compliance. Willful. We had replaced the fence latch, installed a spring hinge, set calendar alarms. The bin had not been left out again. I emailed requesting enforcement logs for the entire neighborhood. No response. I requested a hearing. Scheduled. At the hearing, Karen presented printed photographs, zoomed in, time-stamped, angles adjusted to show visibility from the street. What matters, she said, is precedent. I asked for comparison documentation, other violations, other escalations. She declined. Privacy policy. The board members shifted uncomfortably because transparency is only inconvenient when it exposes imbalance. 3 days later, another letter arrived. Notice of intent to file lien. Over a trash bin. That's when I stopped viewing this as a dispute and started viewing it as documentation. I pulled county property records, reviewed prior liens filed by this HOA, 7 in 3 years. 5 involved minor aesthetic violations, all signed by Karen. This wasn't about community standards. It was about leverage. Because a lien doesn't just request payment, it clouds your title, it follows your credit, it creates pressure, and pressure forces silence, unless someone refuses it. She did it, the lien was filed, official county record, public. Over $450 in escalating trash bin fines. Our mortgage company received notification automatically. So did we. The loan officer called, polite but concerned. A lien can complicate refinancing. Complicate. That word carries weight. I contacted an attorney. He didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss it. He asked one question, was the enforcement uniformly applied? That's when we gathered evidence. Doorbell footage, dated photos, archived HOA newsletters, public meeting minutes. We mapped violations across the neighborhood for 6 months. Visible bins, holiday decorations beyond deadline, driveway cracks. We found 17 comparable violations, none escalated to lien, only ours. The attorney drafted a demand letter citing selective enforcement and disproportionate remedy. He referenced state HOA governance statutes, requested immediate release of lien and reimbursement of legal fees. Karen responded formally. Board acted within authority. Authority is broad, but it is not limitless. At the emergency meeting that followed, residents filled the room, not because of our trash bin, but because they suddenly understood something. If a bin can trigger a lien, anything can, and enforcement without proportionality becomes intimidation. When our attorney calmly presented the comparison chart, silence settled like dust, because numbers don't argue, they reveal. And what they revealed wasn't order. It was imbalance. The vote wasn't loud. It was procedural. Motion to release lien, seconded, approved unanimous. Refund of fines, reimbursement of legal costs, revision of enforcement policy to require warning notices before financial escalation, proportional penalty caps introduced, Documentation transparency required. Karen didn't resign that night, but something else did. Unchecked authority. After the meeting, several neighbors approached us quietly. They admitted they had paid small fines they didn't agree with because fighting felt exhausting, because the amount felt too small to matter. But here's what they hadn't considered. Small fines establish precedent. Precedent establishes leverage. Leverage establishes control. And control expands. A trash bin was never about aesthetics. It was about testing limits. She filed a lien thinking we would fold. Instead, she triggered review. And review triggered exposure. Months later, the neighborhood felt different, less tense, more transparent, because rules aren't the problem. Weaponized rules are. HOA-Karen filed a lien over a trash bin and accidentally reminded everyone why oversight matters. If you've ever faced disproportionate enforcement in your HOA, workplace, or community, document everything, because sometimes the smallest object reveals the biggest imbalance.